What's going on, everybody? Taylor Garcia here with another episode of Talk with Taylor. This is episode number 7. Thank you for tuning in. And today we're going to be discussing health, fitness, and how to kind of change some bad habits into good habits, and how that can drastically improve your performance, your productivity, your creativity, and how to just be the best version of yourself. Now, look, I do not have this figured out. I am no scientist, nutritionist, health fitness coach, or any of this, therapist, but I'm just speaking off my own experiences here. I'm the first to tell you I've had a lot of bad habits that I will get into, and how I've kind of shifted those bad habits and got rid of some of those bad habits and created new good habits, and how that's really increased my performance at work. It's made me a better husband. It's made me a better father. It's made me a better leader here at our agency. Across the board, it's improved my life. And so I just want to share some of those experiences. And maybe if you're going through something like this, hopefully it'll encourage you to maybe change some of those habits, right? Because really, changing these habits are really hard to do, right? That's why a lot of people don't change, because the change is hard, especially with some of the stuff I was struggling with, right? Whether it was addiction to smoking or whatever it was, right? Those are really hard habits to break. Some of the things that I've changed about myself were hard, but I will tell you, on the other side of that hard is nothing but just bliss and amazingness, and you'll be shocked at the night and day difference with your performance or your productivity, your creativity, and everything else. So that's what we're going to dive deep into today. I'm really excited about this one because I'm in the midst of it right now. And so, like I said before, I'm no specialist in this. I don't have it all figured out. You may know more about this than I do, but I'm just here sharing my experiences with it and hoping that maybe this can help you guys kind of shift your mindset a little bit, because I've been doing a lot of reading and a lot of self-improvement right now, and I'm seeing nothing but great results on the other side from it. So let's just dive into it. So like I said, changing bad habits is obviously very hard to do. That's why a lot of people just don't do it, right? Especially if you're battling with addictions, if you're battling with just habits that you've been doing for a very long time. All of a sudden changing those is really challenging. And look, I have the addictions, I had the long-term bad habits, like I had it all. So I'm the first to say I am a prime example of this. And now that I'm in the midst of changing some of these bad habits, I wanted to share some of the successes and progress that I've been seeing, and the performance enhancing, experiences that I've been seeing from some of these changes, because it's just amazing. And I thought, if you're any type of professional, you're in sales, you own a business, you run a team, you have a family, you're a dad, you're a mom, whatever it is, these kind of things are a must to make sure we're the best versions of ourselves for, say, our kids, for our team at work, for our business, for whatever it is. And if you're listening to this, most likely, and maybe not, but you want to be the best version of yourself, right? You want to level up, because I do. And that's why I'm doing this. And that's why I'm sharing this, because I want to share my experiences and hope that maybe this can help you guys, because we want to be where the average people aren't, right? We want to be up here. And so some of these changes are going to be challenging. And you know what I have to say to that? Good. And we say good, like there's this video with Jocko Willink about good. And if you haven't watched it, watch it. I have a few buddies of mine, Steven and Sean, and we send that around all the time. Hey, I'm having a really hard time going to the gym this morning. Good. Oh man, my car's not starting. Good, right? I love it. So, but that's going to be my answer, is good if it's hard, because life's not easy, right? And to be the best, you have to do things that others aren't willing to do, right? And so some of those things that I'm going to share with you. So let's kind of just get into some of the things that some of my bad habits, and how I have kind of shifted those or changed some of those bad habits, right? So in the very beginning, before I met my wife, I used to smoke cigarettes. I was in the music industry. I played drums in bands. I toured. In the music industry, everybody smokes. And I got into it and I fell in love with it. When I met my wife, she was like, I'm not dating somebody that smokes. That's gross. And rightfully so. It was very gross. Now looking back. but I loved it. So stopping cigarettes was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. To be honest, it was really, really hard, especially years of smoking. It was just tough. But I loved her so much, and I wanted to do that for her and do it for me. And so I did. Then I kind of dabbled into cigars because my father-in-law smoked cigars, and I was like, well, I love smoking and these are like acceptable, right? But then I found myself smoking cigars like I was cigarettes. And I was like, that's not what these are made for. So I had to cut those off as well. But I was still struggling with not smoking and the nicotine and everything else. So I got into vapes, and we all know kind of the stigma around vapes. They're not cool, right? I just thought it was better because it smelled better and I could kind of hide it better, and it was more accessible. But that came with its own challenges because of the no smell and the more accessible. I was doing it more often, right? So I had that for years. And then finally, my productivity at work was going down because at work, what was happening was during my day and I was making my sales calls or whatever I was doing, in the back of my head, I was thinking about when my next break is to go outside and hit the vape. And I assure you, a lot of people have said, I've listened to about nicotine being an enhancer. I disagree. And maybe scientifically it might be, but I disagree because when I was smoking nicotine, whether it was cigarettes, vape, whatever it was, all I could think about when is my next break? When is my lunch break? When can I go for a drive, right? And so when I was at my desk working, I really wasn't fully engulfed in what I was doing because in the back of my head, I was still thinking about, man, I just want to hit my vape right now, right? And so that was a huge habit that I had to break because I knew it was unhealthy for me physically, obviously, right? That was no good. My wife hated it. My kids, I didn't want that to be anywhere around them. And then it was hindering my work because I was, again, taking breaks more frequently to just go outside and hit it. And so that was a huge thing, and it was a very hard thing, and you may not smoke, so you may not understand it, and that's okay, but when I cut that, I felt free because prior to that, I felt like a slave to them, right? Slave to this thing. I was like, man, that's all I could think about. And it was just really, really freeing when I stopped. And from when I stopped smoking to maybe a year down the road, right? For the first 6 months, it was really hard. Or first 6 weeks, were really, really hard. Then it got easier and easier and easier. But as I stopped, my performance, my sales, my everything went up. Because I had more time. I could focus easier. I was focusing more on my work. And I was working a little harder because I was trying to not think about it. So that was a big change in my life that really took me up a level. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. Now, keep in mind at this time, I was still eating like crap. I wasn't working out. I was drinking alcohol. I was going to bed really late. I was waking up late and groggy and everything else. So I still had a slew of bad habits, but hey, I got one bad habit out of the way and I was feeling really good about it. In my head, and I'm going to tell you too, one at a time. You can't change it all at once. And I think that's why a lot of people fear change because it's very challenging. And especially if you're saying like, man, I got these 10 things that I got to shift and I'm going to do them all at once. Well, you're going to be shocked for a couple days and then you're going to kind of go back. Just take one at a time, chisel them away. That's what I did. I don't know if that's a proper advice or not, but I just kind of did one thing at a time, right? So then as I went like 2 years without smoking. I'm feeling really good about this. Not even thought in my mind about it. Man, I'm just crushing it. And then I started to realize, oh man, my sleep patterns are really bad, right? I was waking up, or I was going to bed 2-3 in the morning, and I'd wake up at 7:38, groggy as heck. And I was starting my day really poorly. Forget working out or doing any of that. I wasn't doing anything like that. I was just waking up late because I went to bed super late. And when I went to bed late, it was either because I was watching some videos, I was editing videos, I was working, I could have been watching TV. I don't know. I was just wasting time at night, right? And again, I wasn't present with my wife or kids. I was just kind of focusing on whatever I was doing, but it affected me all the way around. It affected my family. It affected my work performance, etc. And so I knew I had to kind of make a shift with that, right? But alongside me working, staying up late, right? I was doing that, but I was also drinking alcohol. Okay. Now keep in mind, my family is full of people that struggle with alcohol. It's just in my blood. It's in my family. They all kind of struggle with it. I, myself and my sister, thankfully never really got that. But I was having a couple beers a night. Now, some people will say that is a problem, right? So it depends on what you say, because I was talking to doctors, therapists, more successful people than myself that were saying, hey, a couple of nights, a lot. You shouldn't be doing that. And I was like, really? Is that too much? Like, I'm not drunk. And again, I never got into liquor or hard alcohol. It was just beer or a seltzer, like a White Claw or something, Truly or whatever it is. So I was like, well, shoot, I don't know. But I was finding myself up late at night, drinking my beer, watching a show or watching a YouTube video on how to learn how to be a better marketer or whatever it was. But alongside of staying up late, I was also consuming alcohol. And so they were kind of like this pair, right? That to go to bed early was hard because I wasn't done drinking the few beers I was going to have that night, right? And so I knew I kind of had to make this shift. And this was very recently that I was still struggling with this, right? And again, all of these habits that I'm sharing with, they're all bad habits. Now, I have good work ethics. When I was at work, I'd work hard and I would do everything that I needed to do, and I was successful. But again, I just wanted to level up that extra step, and I couldn't figure out why I was struggling, right? I was missing some certain meetings in the mornings. I just couldn't get up early. Everybody was waking up early and I just couldn't do it. And I was like, what is happening, right? But because I was going to bed late, I was working late because I'd come into the office late. So I'd show up at the office 8:30 or 9, which is late for me because I always wanted to be the first one in the office. But I'd stay till the office till 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And so that affected my family because I was missing dinner with the kids. I was missing the kids going to bed. My wife and I didn't really have a great relationship because of it. So it really, all of this just kind of compounded. And I was just like, man, this is a problem. And so recently I kind of had just a come to Jesus moment. And I was on a walk and I was watching this video from, I forget his name, Andrew Huberman, I think it is. He did a great YouTube video about alcohol, and it kind of just opened my eyes. And again, I always have this weird relationship with alcohol because of my family. Not that I have the issue, but I don't love it, but I like the taste of beer, but so I've always been kind of weird about it. But I watched his video, and it was very, very powerful. And I was like, I'm going to try this. Let's just cut it out. Right. So now it's been a little over 6 weeks. I've had zero alcohol, don't smoke at all. And mind you, prior to this, didn't work out, didn't do any of that. Wasn't reading. I wasn't really doing a lot of self-improvement. I was just working hard. And so what I started to do, again, what pushed me to do this was surrounding myself with more successful people, better people than me, smarter people than me. I joined a couple mastermind groups that were reading every morning, waking up early, exercising, and they were thriving. And I was like, man, that sounds like a lot of work. And I don't know. But I just started to implement one thing at a time. Okay, so I'm going to stop the drinking, right? Because, man, if I could stop the drinking to go to bed early, maybe I can get up a little earlier. And so that's what I did. And so I stopped drinking. It's been a while now, and I now go to bed at 8:30. So I go to bed at 8:30. I don't drink alcohol. I wake up now at 4:15 in the morning. Kid you not, every morning my alarm goes off 4:15 like clockwork. And that gives me time in the morning to go to the gym. I go to the gym from 4:45 to 5:45. Get home, I exercise, or I get home, I shower. I am ready for my day before my family even wakes up in the morning. That gives me a little time to start my work at home. I kind of get a head start on my day. And then I get my kids up, get ready for school, and I'm present with them in the morning to get them to school. Then I come into work and I am ready, locked and loaded to just crush the day. I worked out, which was really, really hard. I showered. I've been up. I spent some time with my family in the morning. Like, I had so much accomplished before 7 o'clock in the morning. And if you're wanting to be better than your competition, if you want to be better than the others in your industry, you have to do what they're not doing. And I assure you, in my industry with insurance, most of them aren't getting up at 4:15, exercising and starting their day at 5:30, right? I assure you, there's probably the few that are, of course, but that's what it's going to take for me to get from middle of the road agent, successful, right? You could be successful and not wake up at 4:15. That's not what I'm saying. But if I want to be that next step up, I got to do things that are uncomfortable that they're not willing to do. And so that's why we're here, right? That's why you're listening to this. And that's why I'm talking about this, is because we're trying to be exceptional. And I think that a big part of that is cutting out these habits, right? Now, the next thing that I really got to work on is my eating. I still eat kind of junk food. I eat some sweets. I don't drink soda, but I drink sparkling waters. But like, I don't eat very well. And that's something I'm working on currently. But the exercise and the waking up early has been a huge game changer for me recently. And I challenge you, if you're not doing it, try it. Again, really hard to do because you're used to maybe waking up at 6:30, 7. I don't know what time you wake up, but if you're not waking up at 4:15, 4:30 right now, it is hard. But once you do it, your body gets used to it and you're like, oh, this feels good. Same with working out, right? And so again, all of these things I'm talking about, it's challenging to do, but I assure you, once you do it, you'll feel the best you've ever felt. I promise you that. I promise you exercising in the morning will make you make your day go so much better than when you don't. And when I don't work out in the mornings, my day is significantly less than those days that I work out. So those are some of the changes that I've been making. The last thing that I've really shifted on recently was reading. I've always wanted to be a better leader. I've always wanted to be a better business owner. I've always wanted to be a successful entrepreneur. I knew leaders are readers and readers are leaders. I needed to read more, but I always made the excuse of I don't have the time. I got 2 kids at home. I got a wife. I got an agency to run. I don't got time to read a book, right? So I would listen to some audiobooks in the car for 20 minutes on my way to work or whatever. What I started to do was at 4:15 in the morning, before I go to the gym, I make my coffee and I read 10 pages. That's it. I do 10 pages, which a lot of my friends are doing in the groups. We're all doing like 10 pages a day. And you'll be so surprised how fast you get through a book with just 10 pages a day. It's not that much. It's, I don't know, depending how fast you read, but maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes, right? You get through 10 pages and that's about the time I finish my coffee and I'm done with my day of reading. And I've been learning so much from the books I've been reading. And if you ever have questions on books, suggestions, I've been reading a lot of books recently, so I have some really, really good books I'd love to recommend to you. So if you're listening to this and you want to know some books, shoot me a message. I would be happy to share. I'll even buy you the book and send it to you, depending, how many people ask. But yeah, I'm very a big advocate on reading now because I've been doing it for a while now, and it's totally shifted again my mindset to a whole nother level. And you're gonna get people that say, hey, you don't drink, you don't do this, all you do is work, you're a workaholic, you're boring because you don't drink anymore, right? Who cares, man? It depends on what you're trying to go for. Now, if you want to drink and you want to watch Netflix and you just want to chill after work, you don't want to work up, you don't want to wake up at 4:15. Screw that. I'm just trying to get through my day and be chill. That's fine. Then be you, man. You do you. I'm trying to be better. So I'm waking up earlier. I'm exercising. I'm reading. I'm doing it all. And all of this being said, I'm going to wrap it up here because I want this to be not too long. And we could always have further discussions on this because this is just an update on where I am right now. This has all been a journey, right? This has been really challenging for me to make all of these changes. This wasn't an overnight thing. This has been months in the making, and I'm starting to reap some of the rewards from doing these things. The way I feel, the way I think, the way I act, the way I'm performing at work, the way I'm leading the team here at our office, everything. My mindset is shifting in this whole new area. And I promise you, if you want to level up, take 1 or 2 of the things that I'm trying to do and see if it works. But I assure you that maybe the stopping of alcohol, the going to bed early, waking up early, exercise, whatever it is, whichever of the few you want to try, attempt them. Even if it's just, hey, I'm still going to drink, but you know what? I'm going to wake up a little early and I'm going to go to the gym. Dude, you'll be blown away with how much that helps, right? So that's really it. I'm just here to kind of share my progress and how great it's been and how great I feel. There are some struggles with drinking, or not drinking and being out in public and having your own thoughts and trying to be, when you're used to it. Again, not because you're an alcoholic, but just because you're used to going out and socializing and having a beer. It is a little challenging, right? But again, you weigh out the options. What are you trying to do? Do you want to go have some socializing fun? Or maybe without that drinking, you're going to have better health. You're going to perform a little bit better than most that are out drinking and partying some nights. You're going to outperform others if you're doing some of these things, right? And so cutting some of those things out was a really, really positive thing for me. And I challenge you to try some of them. And if you're not struggling with any of that and you're like, dude, Taylor, I got this dialed in. I don't do any of what you're doing and I'm still crushing it. Well, good for you, man. I would love to talk to you and just see how you're doing. And again, just to share stories, not to compete, not to compare who's right or who's wrong. I want to be the best dad I could be, the best husband I could be, the best business owner I could be, the best insurance agent I could be, the best podcaster I could be, the best everything, right? And I know I'm not going to be the best at everything, but I'm going to try my best to be the best at everything. So thank you guys for listening to this. I hope you got something out of it. Again, these are just some of the major shifts that I have had recently, and I've been seeing a lot of success and positive repercussions from it. I feel like I've leveled up again. Now I'm not at a level that I want to be at yet, but I was down here. Now I'm one step closer, right? And it's just one thing at a time and just keep working at it. But yeah, so thanks again for listening to this, you guys. I hope you got something out of it. Stay tuned. We're going to have more videos coming up. I got a couple guests on. I'm really excited to share those conversations because we got some really, really good people coming on that are much smarter than me in different areas, and I want to share their knowledge with you all as well. But of course, I'm going to still keep going on these rants every now and then and share my struggles, my successes, where I'm seeing wins, where I'm seeing me lose, and just letting it all out there. So hopefully you guys can relate with us as you're on your business journey or your professional journey or your whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Again, I'm trying to kind of form this podcast to be around entrepreneurs, business owners, sales professionals, whether you're a lender, realtor, anything like that, and just anyone that wants to be the best version of themselves. And I just want to ooze out positivity here and ooze out success and just constantly be sharing my journey on my path. So again, thanks again for tuning in, guys, and we'll catch you in the next episode.